Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
In this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about strange things, Ukraine, and we have part 3 of our interview with Jeff Brazier from the podcast Only Human.
Welcome to the Kindness Project. I am joined by a girl who thinks her armies should go in her sleeves, and a man who is running out of teethies. It's Charlotte Russ. Apparently that was too much, Russ.
That is too much.
I sincerely apologise. I'm
going to disown you as my brother and buff.
I'm getting really disapproving looks from the other side of the room. So I let me take this opportunity to apologise for that previous comment.
That doesn't sound all that sincere, though.
I know, it's like he's giving you a YouTube apology. Like,
Okay.
What's a YouTube apology?
oh, they're the most fake things on the. Yeah,
This is like to a kid that you say to him, sort of thing, you shouldn't have bothered that. And they're like, no, sorry, Daddy.
I'm not saying daddy, you are clearly.
No, but
Right, let me.
No.
Right, I want to dig into what a YouTube apology is because it's the first time I've heard that phrase. But let's start. Like, let me see if I can make this genuine. Right? You ready?
See, if you have to say you ready, then it's definitely not genuine, is
Right,
it?
let me just do it like Russ. I can't do it. I can't do it.
You can't apologise to your own brother.
Oh,
That's nasty,
I
that
thought
is.
part of our thing was a bit of friendly banter. I saw that as friendly banter.
And no, I definitely don't mind it.
He don't mind it.
But you be careful next time I'm over. Your bed's going to get a kicking.
Oh, your bed's gonna get a kicking. I've never heard that. Like, not me. He doesn't condone, and clearly you're right, Russ. You shouldn't condone physical violence on other human beings. But my bed's fair game, is it?
No, I think it's.
I know, inanimate objects, isn't it?
If I don't, you do realise I don't. I know it's an inanimate object. You do realise I don't sleep in a bunk bed anymore.
I know. And it might be a tight space getting under.
You're going to have to see how Cassie feels about you hiding under my bed so you can kick it when I'm in it. I mean,
that's a resounding no from Mum.
That is a completely different conversation. Right, tell us, educate us, Charlotte, on what a YouTube apology is.
Well, because I don't know if that's what they're actually called, but like when you get YouTubers and like someone's dug up something they did in the past and they make those really scripted videos.
It's a bit like a politician then, isn't it?
I have experienced a severe lapse in judgment and I offer my sincerest apologies.
Okay, unofficial question in the podcast, and one we probably won't use ever again, but unofficial question in the podcast. What's been your favourite unscripted YouTube apology?
All of them are terrible. So.
All of them are terrible. Next unofficial question in the podcast. Have you ever made an apology you didn't mean?
Yes.
Yeah, you do it all the time. You do it all the time to me. Sorry, Dad. Sorry. Right, when Charlotte apologises to me and doesn't mean it, because I get cross, she does it like this. Sorry, Dad. She goes like proper deadpan, don't you? She goes like proper deadpan. She goes, sorry, Dad.
I have a lot of trouble once by apologising that I didn't mean.
Sorry?
I got out of a lot of trouble once by apologising when I didn't mean it.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a story we want to share on the podcast?
No, we won't share the story, but it does have a purpose to it. Apologising without meaning it.
Yeah, like if you say something like if you give your friend a ribbon, like you make a joke about and then you just go soz mate. You don't mean it, but like
yeah.
I don't know. I never say anything that anybody could construe as. A
Well, then I feel
genuine
so bad now.
Well, you should feel bad, Russ.
And
You should feel bad. You
really, I'm just
when
gonna
when
turn
I
the
was
computer around and go like
10,
this.
you kicked my bunk bed, and I'm sorry you're going to be paying for
I
it for the
did.
rest of your life. That's
I
it.
apologise. I made the gravest error in judgment.
And I apologise for.
I've experienced a
and-
severe lapse in judgment.
And I apologise. I'm sorry. Did that sound genuine to you? Let's talk about the official question of the podcast. What is the strangest thing you found in an unlikely place? Now, the reason we're asking this question of the podcast listeners is because I found a purple widget in my shoe and didn't know where it came from.
And I keep
And-
accidentally sleeping with pennies.
No, you know what? We had this conversation before we came on the podcast, and I don't think finding pennies in your bed.
I'll fire. That paid for most of my sweets when I was a kid, finding pennies in your bed.
In my bed? In my bed? What are you doing? Rummaging around in
You
my
used to
bed?
leave them everywhere, on the side, everything.
No, that's where you keep your money when you go to
I
bed.
shouldn't have said that. That's theft.
Sorry, did you steal my money? Did you steal my money and you just weren't telling me?
I liberated it because you kept laying on it and it didn't like it.
What did you spend it on?
Sweets, probably.
Sweets, probably.
Yeah. Right.
That's what happens in your teeth, probably. Too many sweets.
We used to have that shop just outside the school that sold bonbons.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what I loved about that shop? Half-penny sweets, right?
Yeah.
Them.
What?
Half-penny.
Half-penny sweets. Sweets that cost 1/2 of a penny.
And
That's like saying you got a loaf for 10p.
all the
Well,
sweets
it used
used
to
to
be
come in
10p.
jars like that.
It did.
Sorry.
It did. Now, I don't want to give anybody a financial lesson on the kindness
Sorry,
project. but
I'm-
that's what you call, Charlotte, inflation.
Inflation.
How much was the loaf?
It used to, at one point in previously, it used to be 10p, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much it was
Look,
when we were
You
kids.
used to be able to buy cans of beer for 50p.
Sorry?
Cans of beer for 50p.
And that's what most of we used to do. Pop in the shop
think-
at 12 and get some sweets and a can of beer. Clearly. Sophie's joining us, the girl who is really getting into knitting at the minute, and she wants to make a comment.
Once I found a hanger on the top of my head. I woke up.
A hanger on your
It was
head.
just in my mouth. I woke up and it was in my mouth.
A hanger in your mouth.
No, because I'm.
Oh, like it was on your head and you tasted it on your.
Oddly enough, talking about sewing, I was sitting there the other night, I had the telly on, and that sewing bee come on. Nothing
Right.
interesting stuff they make on there.
What was the most interesting
Oh,
bit?
they made like this summer outfit,
Right.
and they all had to make one each. And some of them was just out of this world, yeah.
Reminds me, I've got to pick up my safety pin.
Right.
Yeah.
This has gone weird.
Sorry,
Gotta be
I was
careful you
thinking
don't
about my
step on
safety
So,
pin.
so where were we? Half-penny sweets. So there was a period of time when a sweet, like a blackjack or
Yeah.
Love Arts were like 10p at some point as well. How much are Love Arts now? How much is a pack of Love Arts now?
You can't buy them individually. I don't think. I've never bought them.
No, not individually. How much is a pack?
What, like a big bag, backward?
Yeah, a quid.
Yeah.
Used to be 10p.
See, my generation.
How about one blackjack?
You can't get one blackjack.
Oh, we used to be able to buy one
I
blackjack.
don't, yeah, I don't think they do it like that
You
anymore.
have to have like a pack of like 7 or something.
Yeah.
My generation, if you ask my generation about inflation, we measure it using Freddos.
Well, we've done that before
We've
in the
tried
past.
that, yeah.
Right, somebody at work.
We use the Big Mac analogy though, don't we?
We use Big Mac. We use Freddos. You
I've
can
got
use
to update
Harris
that to
prices.
the new pricing though.
Sorry,
I've got to update the Big Mac one to the new pricing.
I didn't realise this was a work Zoom. I thought we were recording the podcast. Right. So the question is: so I found a purple widget. Still don't know what it does in my shoe. And then Cassie mentioned that Cassie's my wife. If you're a new listener to the podcast, Cassie mentioned that she found a shoe in the veg aisle in the supermarket. So what we'd love.
That's quite a weird one. Was
That
it
is
a
a weird
child shoe or an adult shoe?
Adult shoe.
And I asked her, did you? I mean, I'm not being funny. If it's a kid's shoe, you can imagine like they're in their pram. They take the shoe,
Thinking
throw it in
about,
the veg,
Yeah.
and then like they move on, and the parent doesn't notice. An adult shoe, they've got to get rid of their shoe and hop home. It makes no. Or take a spare shoe and strategically place it in the veg aisle. What are they doing, Charlotte?
I found a half-eaten
Somebody
packet
might
of
have put
Lincolns in the lamp section once.
In a lamb section.
Somebody might have put their shopping on there when it fell out of their bag.
That's
Why would you
boring,
ever-
Russ. That's boring.
Why would you have a shoe in your bag?
No, because you've got a spare pair of shoes.
Ah, right. Okay, fair enough. So we would love. What would you like to say, Sophie?
Maybe it was like a little kid, and they'd got out of their pram.
Little kid with big feet.
A little kid with big feet.
Why don't we
No,
post a
the little
picture of the
kid-
widget
The little
and see
kid.
if anybody can identify it?
Yeah, maybe we do that. Maybe we like unofficial question of the podcast is how did that shoe end up in the veg aisle?
Maybe.
I don't think we'll get the answer to that.
You can
Oh,
only but ask.
people's guess. That's what we should do for question of the podcast sometimes. Like make people
Guess
guess
a
random
particular
stuff.
scenario,
Maybe it was a little kid,
Yeah.
and their mum was holding their hand, and their mum reached up to grab something, and the little kid ran away. They were in the clothes section, got a giant shoe, and just placed it strategically on top of the broccoli.
Children are beings of chaos. Yeah,
I'll
I
go
can see
for
that.
that.
happen.
I'm not going for
I would
that.
do that.
Would you? Was it you who put the shoe in there? Was it you, Sophie, who
No, it
who
wasn't.
strategically placed a random
It
shoe?
wasn't. I didn't.
The broccoli detail was kind of specific.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Mum,
She seems to know a lot
was
about
the
this
shoe
shoe.
in the broccoli?
No,
The shoe wasn't in the broccoli.
Where was it?
it was near the bananas.
Near the bananas. Near the bananas. That is, I mean, I love bananas. Don't put shoes near bananas,
I love
please.
bananas and smoothies. Smoothies are nice.
Yeah, anyway, you can answer the question of the podcast in the following ways.
Ah, yes. You had to do it when I was taking a big slurp of coffee, didn't you?
Right.
On Twitter, we're at Ola Kindness. On Facebook, if you type the Kindness Project into the search bar, we should be the first thing that comes up. If you want to Google us, it's the Kindness Project Podcast. And if you want to go directly to the website, it's www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. If you want to email us, it's Ola at the
It's
Kindness
holla
Project.
at the kindness
Holla at the kindness- Project.co.uk.
After all this time as well.
I know. You'd think you'd get it right by now, wouldn't you? And if you'd like to listen to any of the podcast episodes, you can do so at www.thekindnessproject.co.uk.
UK.
I already did that bit.
Okay. And on that bombshell,
We have an Insta, but
we've got an Insta, but Russell doesn't update it. So, and on that bombshell, let's move on to
Kindness News.
Ukraine edition. And in this edition of Kindness News, it looks like Russell was sort of kept us pretty much up to date. I will check the dates on the news articles
I
when.
did manage to get some more up to date than last week.
Oh,
Fab, thank you. 'Cause
Let's-
I'm sick of reading news from 2002. It's not really news if it's that old, Russ, is it? Hey?
maybe we should start with the events of
I thought
Saturday.
this was a history podcast.
Your news is like the history podcast. It's so old. Christ, go on.
I mean, I was going to mention the fact they won the Eurovision.
Yes. Now, I'm not a massive Eurovision fan. You love a bit of Eurovision, don't you? No. Sophie does. Charlotte doesn't like it either.
The songs are good, but I wouldn't sit and watch it.
Yeah. But we are over the moon that not only did the UK come second, but Ukraine won it. We love that idea. And again, it's a
And
tribute.
well deserved as well, because that song was good.
I didn't hear that song, but I think that it's symbolic of a general feeling of goodwill towards Ukraine at the minute, and I think that should be applauded.
And their song was really good.
And their song was good. Check it out, and check out the British one by Sam. Just Sam.
Sammy Boy.
Ryder.
Sam Ryder. Sammy.
I think it was called Spaceman or something like that.
Oh yeah, we were listening to it
Look
earlier.
at Russ pretending he's not a Eurovision fan. I think it was called Spaceman.
I'm not. When they done the judges' votes, I thought, oh, I'm going to watch this to the end, see if we do win. But that's the first time I remember doing anything in the Eurovision.
Yeah.
That's because the UK never get any votes. So
Yeah, we don't normally win it, do we? So well done.
we don't normally get
We
anywhere
don't normally
close.
get anywhere near, but well done for Sam Ryder for coming second, and well done for the guys from the Ukrainian entry. Do you know the name of the band or the song?
No.
We don't.
I just-
But well done for winning Eurovision. Let's talk about this news article. With his handmade bowl, this 12-year-old raised $325,000 for Ukrainian kids. After a young boy's woodworking project went viral, he seized on his new internet following to raise money, not for himself, but for the children of Ukraine. The power of viral social media posts never ceased to astound. When Gabriel Clark's proud dad tweeted a link to his son's hobby, carving wooden bowls and posting them for sale on Instagram, it went viral. And his Insta followers jumped from 6 to 227,000 in just 48 hours. Rather than fulfilling the 20,000 requests for wooden bowls, Charlie Woodwork, that can't be his real name, who lives in Cumbria in the north of England, announced that he would make one single bowl, Gabriel's bowl for Ukraine, to be given out in a lottery to anyone who made a donation to save the children. Virality struck once again, and a £5,000 appeal turned into a £250,000 success. With nearly 15,000 people donating, part of the viral bump came when the appeal came to the attention of J.K. Rowling, Nick Offerman and Stephen Fry, who all passed it along to their unfathomable numbers of followers. I never imagined that my tweet would turn into this amazing thing. Somehow it's resulting in people donating over £250,000 to help children in Ukraine. It's just incredible, said Richard Clarkey, Gabriel's father. Gabriel's bowl for Ukraine now is a new home. Renuka Chapman, congratulations. And we are now at 245,000, a truly unbelievable figure, and Save the Children would like to pass on their immense gratitude. When Gabriel rang me to let me know I'd won the bowl, I was completely overwhelmed. I'd never won a single thing before, wrote Renuka. This bowl will be one of my most treasured possessions. It represents hope, compassion and kindness, and it will have pride of place in my home. I absolutely love that
I do
story.
love that one, yeah.
I absolutely love that story. And the next one in Ukraine edition, tiny bomb sniffing Jack Russell is a national hero. I thought that said tiny bomb sniffing Russell when I first read it, and I thought you'd been like doing a new hobby. Have you been out bomb sniffing, Russ?
No.
I wonder if Dexter could bomb sniff.
Well, we could. Can you train any dog to bomb sniff? That's an interesting thing.
Helping to sweep 200 explosive devices in Ukraine. Hey, Patron, the Jack Russell recently.
Are you just dog loving over his name?
Yeah.
Patron.
Recently received a presidential medal from President Zelensky, meaning ammo in Ukrainian. Patron's handler. What?
It's not as good, is it? Ammo.
There's dogs called ammo. Yeah,
What would you prefer, Patron or ammo?
Patron.
Yeah.
in Ukrainian, Patron's handler Mikhailo Liev of the Civil Protection Service accepted the medal on the 2-year-old Pooch's behalf in a news conference that included Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Today, I want to award those Ukrainian heroes who are already clearing our land of mines. And together with our heroes, a wonderful little sapper, Patron, who helps not only to neutralise explosives, but also to teach our children the necessary safety rules in areas where there is a mine threat, Zelensky said in a statement after the ceremony. Oh, look at the little doggy. Patron has become well known since the
You do know this is a podcast, don't you?
Um,
Oh, look at the little cute doggy on this phone.
Look him up because he's adorable. Patron has become well known since the conflict began, appearing in dozens of stories across a variety of news networks and outlets. His Instagram boasts... Oh, he has an Instagram!
I know who's going to be following Patron when this is done. He's going to have 212,001 followers. Or maybe 2, because Rouse might want to follow him as well.
No, 220,000 followers. As a Jack Russell Terrier, he's one of the ultimate workhorse breeds. Bred for fox catching and later for rat catching and travel, his powerful snout, endless energy, and smaller appetite make him ideal for minesweeping. Yet that wasn't supposed to be his destiny, as NPR reports. That Liev bought him originally to be nothing more than a loyal friend for his son. Aww.
Amazing, love that, and shows that there are plenty of people, animals working hard to support the people of Ukraine, which is what I love to see. Let's move on to our interview. This week, we've got part 3 of our interview with Jeff Brazier. Jeff is a good guy doing loads in his community to support people, just effectively, help their mental health by, encouraging people to come out on walks through the topics he explores on his podcast and through a bunch of other stuff. So check out what Jeff is up to. We'll make sure all the links go in the show notes. And let's listen to part 3 of the interview with Jeff. One of the most interesting things for me in my day job, in the job as a financial planner, is often people come and see me at a point of transition. So they're thinking, and my typical client, sort of early 50s to early 60s, looking at a position where they're trying to work out whether financially they've reached a level of wealth to do something else. And a lot of the conversations aren't about money. They're about, what do I do with my life, Chris? I'm now at a point where I've achieved a level of financial independence. I'll give you an example. Working with a guy at the moment, and I won't break any confidentialities clearly, but working with a guy at the moment who said, I've been doing the same thing quite successfully for 30 years. What am I if I'm not my job? And part of the conversations that we have are around saying, what is your purpose in life? What is it you really want to, where do you add value to the world over and above the money? If we can tell you that the money's going to be all right, and that conversation, Jeff, fascinates me because it's so interesting in terms of helping people, and guide. And the life coaching, I'd imagine, is doing exactly that, just more intensely, right?
Well, you're in a coach even asking those sessions. I guess it's how you put a structure around that conversation, so that someone walks out the door feeling like they are, a step closer towards working it out and feeling empowered as a result. But yeah, what a fascinating stage of life to be in, where you start to actually align yourself with what you actually want to achieve with the time you have after what you thought was important was the career. And now realizing, well, that's just given you it's given you the tools, the experience, and maybe the platform to then be able to make decisions as to what you do. I love where I've landed with just like I was really clear this week in that this year that it was all about what I can give. And it's the reason why I'll do plenty of podcasts. It's the reason why I'm doing the workshops for free and the walk and talk stuff at a different game every Saturday, wherever I am. And it's because if I can do my little bit, and if you can do your little bit with this podcast, if someone else can do their little bit with something else, then
the world's going to be a better place as a result, right?
We have to see ourselves as the balance to all the bad stuff, as opposed to. I'd never be one to sit around and just be like, "Well, this is bad, isn't it?" Well, okay, what can we do that I guess is contradicting to that, and what's the opposite?
Yeah, what can we do to just engender some sort of positive change? And if we can do that, that's great. And I suppose the big factor. I know you mentioned you trained as a life coach. What was your biggest lessons when you went through that process for you?
Thinking specifically as a coach, was my introduction to imagery, which is not something that I was trained in, but just something as a coach I naturally gravitated towards, and that is to help people to see their situation from a different point of view by inviting them to close their eyes and imagine the situation visually. And by playing around with that and by realizing how powerful it is, a lot of people get very used to avoiding the same conversation they seem to be having a lot with a lot of people, where it's just purely verbal. But actually, when you invite someone to see it and to create an image, obviously it's not me giving them the image, that's them creating it for themselves and telling me what they see and what that metaphor is for their situation. That all of a sudden their resistance to kind of exploring it is less as a result. And as I say, it's just like it never ceases to amaze me how powerful imagery is in helping people unpick the things that they've been stuck in the past. So that was
it's that visualization of a different situation, or the situation they're in, just viewed from a different perspective. How would you use that imagery?
Yeah, it's quite flexible. It's really creative in that actually what I'm trying to do, I guess, is help them to construct the visual image. And then when they've constructed it, we start to question it, why things appear in certain ways. But the detail you can go into is absolutely immense, and it all represents very cleverly something that your subconscious has just sort of offered up. So I remember learning about how we're all an iceberg, in that what our conscious cognitive thought process is what you see above the surface, which is, it seems like quite a big element of the iceberg, but actually
it's not, is it? Yeah.
When you see beneath the surface, it's only 5% of it. And
the problem is, certainly for me, is the more you learn about that personal development stuff, the more you realise you don't know.
We don't know. We know very little. The comprehension of who we are, why we are, the purpose of why we're. It's such a huge, unexplored expanse.
And there was a few podcast interviews that I really piqued my interest. Particularly, and I want to cover up a couple of things on this. Number one, gratitude. So, how important do you think gratitude and being grateful is in terms of your mental health?
I just know when I read the law of, I read The Secret about the law of attraction when I was quite young, and I remember thinking, this is how I think. This, someone who's very positive, this will really speak to you, because it infers that basically your life is in your hands, and that if you take full responsibility and accountability for your thought process, then actually that will deliver the life and the experiences, and I guess in some ways the luck that you're looking for.
I personally, and again, I completely appreciate that people might disagree with me. I've not read The Secret. But I just think the reality is a bit more nuanced and deeper than that, purely and simply because the law of attraction just seemed like too much of a simplistic solution for me. What did you think?
No, I agree, but it's a great place to start. Yeah. And what do you lose? You know, so it's not a religion, and I don't think that, you know, you're never asking anybody to because it doesn't explain why people get serious illnesses, right? You know, it doesn't explain. So you're right, there are obviously huge caveats, but my response will always just be, what's the harm in taking accountability, which is massive.
100%.
For your thoughts. If we imagine why anxiety is so rife at the moment, and that is about how people don't quite have the boundaries around their thought process, so it gets carried away, it gets heightened and exaggerated, and next thing you know, something is thought into being a far bigger issue than maybe it was initially. So that's what happens. If your thinking is let's say, you know, not constructive, then you're looking at anxiety. If your thought process is one where you understand that if you think positively about things, then you can manifest these things into your existence, then all it means that even if it doesn't work, and actually that's not how the universe does work, you can't ask, believe and receive, then it just means that you've spent a lot less of your day worrying about things unnecessarily. It doesn't mean that you're careless. It doesn't mean that you're not giving mind to things that you need to take care of. It just means that you're thinking about those things in a context that is constructive and
that's likely to result in you taking positive action as well, isn't it? You know, that's the reality of it. So that mindset stuff, I think, I completely agree with. The bit that I think we might, and we can disagree, Jeff. There's no problem with that.
Definitely.
The bit that I think is that positive act. Certainly, look in the mirror. Certainly, it starts with you in terms of the decisions you make. The bit that I think, and again, I might have misinterpreted the book. The bit that I'd add on to that is you've got to take the positive action. This stuff that just doesn't come to you. You've got to take the action to drive stuff forward. So maybe I need to read it. Maybe I've misunderstood it.
No, listen, not at all. But of course, you're right that positive actions lead to positive outcomes.
Yeah.
But we have to recognise that our thoughts are incredibly important, and they're not just things that rattle 100%. Around in our head.
Yeah, 100%.
We wouldn't have a mental health epidemic if it wasn't for the fact that people are not taught to value the importance of your thoughts. And anyway, sorry, to come back to your initial question, how important is gratitude? Well, this is the main one, really. This is the main way that we can ensure that we're thinking about what was good. Excuse me, one sec. And a lot of talking today. It's a way of ensuring that we are able to think about the things that were good in our day. It means that we're facing forwards as opposed to looking at what was bad. And again, if you believe in the law of attraction or not, it just means that the more you focus on what you're grateful for, the idea is, the premise is that we will experience more things of a similar nature that we might say thank you for. It's my favourite word, thank you. To say thank you, I sometimes shout it in the car when I'm on my own. And it, for me, it gets me in a really great state of mind where I'm completely present with what I've got, and with feeling resourceful or resourced and having everything that I need, instead of, I guess, someone else in the car behind me will be having a different experience where they're thinking about everything that they lack. And ultimately, where you are in your head just dictates your life experience. So, my experience when I'm being grateful is that I'm having a good life, and that the 100%. Experience at that particular time is that things are good. And I want to spend as much time in that state of mind as I possibly can during my life. And that's not to say we're going to ignore things that are not good and not try and find solutions and improve those things. But let's always make sure that we celebrate our small victories, 100%. Whether it's someone holding a door open for us, whether it's someone saying a kind word, someone picking up a bit of litter on our behalf. It's, celebrate everything. And and that's massive for me.
I love that. absolutely love that, and I completely agree. When we look at the world and where we are at the minute, I think realizing how lucky we are every day is so important. One of the conversations that you had on the podcast that I loved, and one that I struggle with because I love a bit of technology, Jeff, is that using technology as a force for connection and communication, but then I think you and your son had a conversation about how often we spend our time on our phones. Now, I haven't, if I've got to be honest, I haven't checked the amount of time I spend on social media. I'm a bit scared, but I agree. I mean, the thing that I do is that sort of do not disturb button on my phone is on constantly, so I can manage my own time and attention. But that was a good conversation. Can you share with our listeners, what you shared on the podcast?
So the basic premise just around distraction, I think. And I remember reading a book called Indistractable by Nir Eyal, and I took a lot from it. And I think we all have to be careful around the amount of power that we're giving to the device. And sometimes we can spend, hours, even if it was just 2 hours a day, that's 14 hours a week. That's, don't make me do, any maths, but basically over the course of a year or even a lifetime, we're talking about months that you have given up of your precious life. And don't get me wrong, there are obviously business uses and it can be used socially, but do we control it or does it control us?
Is it at all? Or is it, 100%.
Is it like a crutch? Is it something that we lean on? Is it something that we turn to when we have to be uncomfortable making conversation with someone instead of being human and actually kind of inquiring, how's your day to someone? It might be whether it's, you can all imagine sitting around a table with family and it's very easy for you to just sit there on your phones, feeling that that's sort of more important. But if you're not connecting face to face, I don't know, it's a massive concern for me. So I always try and regulate the time that I spend doing any of these things. One thing that's massively important is not leaving the phone by your bedside. So, because it will always be the last thing you do for longer than you should be. And it will always be the first thing you pick up in the morning. It's just a terrible habit. So I'll always put it in the plug point furthest away from the bed. I'm pretty sure that, it's good in terms of not getting those. I've seen videos of how I think it was newts or little fish swim around and to avoid a mobile phone because of all of the waves that they emit. So a lot of our kids are sleeping with their phones under their pillows. Not good. It's not good.
It's funny when as I said, Charlotte was struggling a couple of weeks ago, so we've just adopted a new routine that phones off. We go for a walk every day because we've got Hornchurch County Park behind us, and just we just don't touch technology for that hour and just chat. Most of that chat is absolute nonsense, Jeff. It's just us sort of having a laugh, but just spending that time is really, really important. And then the other sort of thing that appeared on the podcast that I was really fascinated about, and by the way, I've really enjoyed this chat. It's been really insightful. So thank you. Now that's I'm sort of learning already. Tell me a little bit about the conversation that was interesting was the one on masculinity, toxic masculinity, and some of the things that we should potentially avoid. Now, I know we've spoken about already about that, authenticity element and, saying we need help and we need help. What else do you see as the things that don't serve us in that space?
Well, just being completely absent from anything that has any emotional value. So I put the walk and talks on quite a lot, and simple premise: you get together and you walk and you have a chat, and if it's about something meaningful, great. If it's about football, no problem. But just that connectedness. Always 90% women, always, and it's like how are we going to help men if men aren't going to help themselves?
Yeah.
Why are we so tied to that preconception of what strength and masculinity looks like and how it behaves?
Yeah.
You know, you have to drink pints down the pub, and you have to.
Why can't you go for a walk and have a chat?
Why can't you? Yeah, why can't you be flexible enough to do that? I just know that I'm not being critical when I say this, because I understand everybody's got their own limitations and things that they find difficult. I know I have, but I know that a few guys have kind of approached the walk and talk where we're all meeting, and have literally turned back or not go out the car because they've seen that there's quite a lot of women there and stuff. So it's I know that there are probably equivalents that can be done. I work with a charity called Strong Men, who are for bereaved men, and they take them up Snowdon. So, you know, there's something like, you don't have to talk if you don't want to, and we're gonna walk to the top of Snowdon, and that feels like a really
manly.
It feels like without being stereotypical, because you know, ultimately I think people get it, and it does draw people out a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I think we have got a challenge about breaking down those perceptions, though, right? You know, it's just we have got a. How do we do that?
I don't know, but I need to find the format that breaks that. I need to work out how that works. And the first thing that comes to mind is like, where, right, if you come in, you've got to bring a man with you. Grab a man. Grab
a man, walk and talk. It's got a ring to it.
Grab a man, walk and talk. Right. Make him come.
But grab a man, walk and talk. But yeah, no, you're right. Just that. And I think interestingly, my sort of lived experience of it is often just maintaining those social connections as a man. For me personally, when I look at the way Cassie does it, she does it amazingly well. And just I'm still sort of working towards making sure that I can be vulnerable enough to turn around and go, actually, I need a chat or I need some help and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a real interesting one, really interesting. If somebody wanted to get involved in sort of the walk and talks, wanted to get in touch with you, wanted to start one in their local area, that might be something they might want to do. Where can they find out more about you?
That's a great idea. Yeah, so just on Instagram and Twitter, I'm at Jeff Brazier. My email for those things is jeff@jeff-brazier.com.
Okay.
There's a lot of Jeffs, I know, but yeah, if someone wants to make a suggestion or come along to something, then that's what it's there for. And yeah, I'd love to get something sorted out in lots of areas. Hornchurch will have to be high up on the list, though.
I don't know whether I've got too much on, though, Jeff. That's the thing. But I'm sure we could find somebody to do it. Now, let me come along to one of yours first, and we'll see what we can do.
I think it's simpler than we think. It's simpler than most of the. Well, I say responsibility, but all you need is a cafe that's accessible, and a few people that are happy to put on workshops, and everything else will fall into place.
100%. Love it. Thanks for your time today. I've really enjoyed our chat, and thank you for being a guest. Oh, no, actually, one thing, Russ is going to kill me if I forget. So that's Sophie. That's my youngest.
Hello.
If you're ready to just
How are
say
you?
hello.
Good.
Good. We are still recording though, so are you going to sit down or are you going to? No, she's off. One thing we always do every week on the podcast, we have a question that's non-kindness related, but about just because we're curious people, we like to ask questions. The one that we've sort of shared on social media this week that's got a lot of attraction is what's the world's greatest movie soundtrack? What do you reckon it is? What's yours?
The first thing that comes to mind is Star Wars, because I grew up in that. But I need to revise my my first submission and say that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Great songs of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Amazing.
Pure imagination. Don't Cry, Charlie. Yeah, some absolute classics for me.
And we haven't had that yet on the list. We had a lot of Baby Driver, funny enough, but I've been listening to it in the car yesterday. Baby Driver has got an amazing soundtrack. Not original songs, but really, 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 really well selected.
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you so much for joining us.
No worries.
Cheers. So that was part 3 of the interview. What did you think?
It was good.
Yeah, so did I. And now is the time for your favourite bit. Here she goes.
Tis the end of another podcast, and I can hear Alexa.
Alexa, stop. Perfect. Now we are ready for the end, but not the end of another podcast, because it's time for
last week's question this week.
And that is, what's the best present you always wanted but never received? Steve Chilton said he wanted a snow speeder. Andy Fano said he wanted to play on the pitch at Up to Bar, something I actually got to do, Andy. It was really, really good fun. And my footballing skills, I shouldn't have been allowed on there, but I
it was really bad.
I did get to it. It was good fun. Louise, Matt and me always wanted to tortoise.
Oh, same.
What's the difference between a tortoise and a turtle?
I think one of them is more aquatic.
I thought that was a terrapin. What's a terrapin?
I think they're even more aquatic.
They go in definitions of how waterbound they are. So how waterbound are you?
Sorry. I found that a little odd though, because from my recollection, they did have a tortoise.
We had a tortoise.
No, they had a tortoise. We used to look after it in the winter.
No, we had a tortoise. Sorry, this is like an old school family conversation. Louise is a listener of the podcast, but is also our cousin. So, and used to live opposite us when we were growing up. So when Russ talks about,
I got that muddled up.
Russell doesn't know every listener or contributor to the podcast, but he does know Louise, don't you, Russ?
I do.
Yeah. Now, tell us, Russ, what's the difference between a tortoise, a terrapin,
or turtle,
and a turtle?
Two are aquatic, one's land bearing.
What's the difference between a Jack Russell and you?
We're both quite snappy when we're riled.
So, moving on. Louise wanted a tortoise. Daniel Fage wanted to be made redundant and he didn't get it. And Philippa Han always wanted roller boots. Amazing things. My balance isn't good enough for roller boots.
You can get wheels that strap to the bottom of your shoes so you don't have to have the boots.
And you can get
definitely wouldn't take the chance.
And on that note, that, my friends, is the end of another podcast. Have a lovely week and we'll see you next time on the Kindness Project.
Have a nice time.
Bye.
Bye.